Welcome everybody to USL All Access and a very happy quarterfinal in the rear view, semifinal in the rear view, conference final weekend ahead on ESPN Plus and here on SiriusXM FC with Devon Kerr and Emma McConnell, Mike Watts. There's still a handful of shows remaining this year, and we still haven't crowned a champion. We've got some major coaching news on the League One circuit. We've got some investments that I'm going to try and pose to Devon. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to coax him into anything. I'm going to try my best, and we'll get you set up for this coming weekend, the conference finals. Dev, can I convince you to buy some of Orange County?
Are we going with Orange County? Are we backtracking to Detroit last year? Am I getting some Oakland? Did you just propose to me? And first and foremost, when you started the show, you and I are at the point in time in the year where only certain people can appreciate the levels of exhaustion that are starting to set in, right?
What day is it?
Exactly. I actually thought today was Monday.
It's not. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. But I was confused around. I was confused because I normally fly home from MLS on Sunday mornings. But I flew home on Saturday because my MLS games were Sunday and Monday. So back-to-back games, no sleep till, we can't say Brooklyn because there's no USL team there. There's no sleep till, what, Sac? Louisville? Who's hosting this damn thing?
Not Phoenix.
So where I was, exactly, they can't host it. So where I was going with when we came in, there's a quarterfinal in the rear view, there's a semifinal in the rear view. Were you that tired that you just forgot, or did you actually run it in that order?
I was just working my way through the playoff bracket to where we were.
I bet you were.
We're in the conference finals now. By the way, Dev, you really lit the fuse on some things last week. One thing I know for sure, Orange County is not actually going to be hosting the USL Championship final.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore. Not like this, they're not.
Can you explain to me something? And I understand that this is probably going to poke some people in the front office, and I don't care, to be honest. If you're going to put together a playoff structure and you're going to tell us that's what it is, you can't then backtrack. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's like, you don't have to say anything. I'll handle this. It's like yellow card accumulation. That as well. Now, the powers that be will be removed from this conversation of who we were talking about. But if we reach out and ask you, what are the yellow card accumulation rules? I don't need to wait 2 freaking rounds to find out what they are.
Yeah, but it's complex.
There's no buts. It's not complex. It's simple. It's called communication. It's called putting a plan together and then just telling us. Because if anything, we're the ones who are telling everybody else and people are listening. And instead, we get hung out to dry. Joke's on them. I hang from a tree on a regular basis. I got 3 kids. I know how to climb. Those little terrors are like cheetahs, but they're baby ones. They got claws, but they're not long enough. They can't get up in a tree. I'm up in a tree. I'm dry, and I'm doing just fine. Get me to the news.
All right. Wow. Okay. We will talk about the East and the West conference semifinals. Dev, put the bat down. We are going to start, however, with some news in League One. It's actually 2-pronged, and there are different clubs making coaching announcements within the past week. I don't think I ever thought that I'd see Eric Winalda tweet, "Congratulations on a good run, John Harkes." And he did. There is water under said bridge. He literally said, "I know a lot of people won't believe that I'm saying this, and no, I haven't been hacked." John Harkes leaving League One Greenville. And if you followed his journey as a coach, John did a wonderful job building FC Cincinnati, but not only did he build a really good team and a lot of guys that ended up playing a lot of years, not only for him, but who spanned out over a number of teams, diaspora, when they ended up going to MLS. But he also built the culture of that thing. And if there was enough foresight in that front office, maybe they could have avoided the 4 years it took for them to finally find the group that led them to the Supporters Shield this year. He leaves there, goes to Greenville. It's close to where his daughter's playing college soccer. Um, he's close-ish to where his son Ian was, and he built Greenville into a regular, not only playoff team, but just power. I know you have great appreciation for John. I do too. He had a lot of health issues this year. That's a big loss for League One.
Yeah, the analogy that I could make for American soccer fans who maybe aren't as engrossed into the culture that is Greenville Triumph, it reminds me a little bit in college football of Urban Meyer. Remember Urban Meyer and just how deep into things he was at Florida, and he had some health issues. Now I understand he came back and there was other stuff going on behind the scenes, but Urban Meyer had such a passion for his sport and for his university and just fully threw himself into it. John Harkes the same way. An incredible person, someone who does really everything. He wears every single hat, right? And so there's one part of him that's talking about liaising with the community and finding a way to get people educated about the sport. Forget the team, actually teaching them the sport. And then yet 2 seconds later, he's having a cup of coffee with us, going knee deep into tactics about how he's going to break his, opponent down. Then the recruiting side of it, getting guys out of college, bringing guys from the championship, bringing them up from USL 2. I mean, he's so good at so many different things. There's one side of me that goes, I hate to see him leave. And I really, really, really wonder what the next project is going to look like. But the other side, and you and I were talking about this coming on air, I just hope he's okay, because he did have the health scares. And as we can call him, and he's not just a friend of the show, he is our friend. We've shared so many good times together that I just want to make sure that he's okay. Especially, I mean, you've been on the calls with me with him and the admiration that I've shared for a childhood idol. And that's exactly what he is for me. And I just want to make sure that overall that he's headed in a positive direction health-wise.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Taylor Twellman just actually tweeted yesterday about Mark Briggs
Saw that.
being a guy that MLS teams might want to look at. We'll chat a little bit about the Sacramento side that is going to a conference final. They went to the Open Cup final. John Harkes, whether it's the championship or it's MLS, you've got the name recognition. You don't need to sell that higher. You really don't. And so whatever project he takes on, right?
I can tell you this, and all the coaches that you and I have had the opportunity to speak to over the years, John Harkes, tactically, what he can bring on the field, scouting an opponent, setting his team up for success, in-game changes, I'd take him over a lot of other people I've spoken to.
Yeah, no,
I'm not gonna light those fires and burn those bridges. I'm just saying that there are plenty of people that you and I have talked to, and I'm sure you share the same sentiment, right? Like, he gets it. He knows what he's doing.
Right.
And he's been very, very close. For people that don't know, very, very close to a lot of USL championship jobs that for whatever reason, his decision or the front office of said clubs just didn't go their way.
Yeah. So John Harkes leaves Greenville Triumph, and obviously wishing him well with whatever he decides is next for him. Jermaine Jones was named the head coach of Central Valley Fuego. What a huge swing that front office just took. I'm super interested. We spoke when Adam Smith left. I think they got a lot of things wrong in terms of budgeting or how they allocated his budget. He moved into leading the academy and more of a sporting director role. I don't know if he made the hire. I don't know if the club took a swing like Charleston did on a Connor Casey, where it's not a guy with a lot of coaching experience. And that's what's so intriguing to me. Obviously, Jermaine Jones, larger than life figure, Dev. And he's getting dropped right into a team that was sitting at the bottom of the League One table throughout the year.
He's also ridiculously smart, and for a long period of time, actually quite similar to DeMarcus Beasley, has expressed interest life after soccer. Him more specifically for coaching. Bees has always kind of been wanting to be involved, didn't know if it would be coaching, if it would be ownership. Oddly enough, he's involved in a little bit of both, right? But
Both.
For Jermaine Jones and the beautiful mind that is, he's the type of player, by the way, that I would want my child to go play for. And the reason I say that is, if he can mimic 25% of what he brought on the field to the sidelines and helped depict that to the kids, this modern generation, I would want my child to be there. A guy who was tactically gifted, had the ability to, break things down on his own. He could take the ideas that you're giving him, make them his own, but also sit into a game plan, the fundamentals, honestly, like the skill set that he possessed. And then most importantly to me, there's a character thing about Jermaine Jones that I've always admired. I was kind of a similar type player in the sense of just throwing a team on your back and going to get it done. A leadership aspect that is done by the physicality that he brought to the field, leading by example, making others follow you. Because in times of battle, when people are looking around and they're looking for someone to pick them up off the deck, Jermaine Jones was always that person. So 25%, you can harness just some of that. And I firmly believe that they will. Jermaine Jones is going to find success. I think he's a very well spoken person, and carries a lot of credibility off the field as well. So it's one thing to earn that respect from guys that you've played with. It's another to continue that conversation when your career's been over for a couple of years and people, they start adding extra layers to it. I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah, obviously spent a lot of time out there in California, maybe not up in Central Valley per se, but he was around Ventura County and LA Galaxy in 17 at the very tail end of his pro career. Obviously, everyone knows what he did with Germany and with the United States national team. And
reminder, the national team training center out there too. He's familiar with the lay of the land. He gets it.
Yeah. And make no mistake, Central Valley's got these big aspirations. Now they just need to really hone in. All right, Dev, I tried to coax you into ownership. Let's chat about this for a moment.
Yeah.
News came. Oakland has added a little bit to their ownership group. Sway, welcome.
Citizen,
Sway, happy to have you.
Citizen, Sway in the morning. Wake up, everybody. If you don't know, you got to go listen to the show. That's the entrance song for Sway in the morning show.
Yeah,
SiriusXM.
Yeah,
Shade 45.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, all right. He's a host on SiriusXM.
This is what happens when you put us in different time zones, Michael.
Yeah, that's a rarity. Also, former NBA All-Star Antonio Davis. That's a guy I want to have a beer with. Now that actually, I want to have a beer with both of them.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, why one over the other? I want to sit with both of them.
Yeah, I know.
Me? Both Oakland natives. Both. I will say that, and you and I have talked about this a lot. The community in Oakland has gotten everything right when it came from branding, the culture side of things. How do you intertwine that into merchandise? How do you get community activities involved? They've done all that right. I'm still waiting for them to kind of kick it into high gear when it comes to the results on the field and what direction they're headed there. There have been good steps. The Juan Guerra setback was a massive one, obviously. We'll talk about that because the coach that left certainly went to the former artist known as the Western Conference Wonder, now Phoenix Rising FC, the new generation, and they're in a Western Conference final. So.
Yeah, and also, give a lot of credit to them and Orange County for that matter, and Detroit has done a good job of it as well. All three of them have gone into the crowd raise idea before and done rounds of investment in varying capacities. In the case of Oakland right now, they're almost at $3 million. It's wefunder.com/Oakland for this round. Orange County just announced the minimum there is $100. But they've been finding different ways to get owners involved within the last few weeks since they made their announcement. I love the fact that German clubs in particular, and I know you were around that culture for a little while in your pro career, Dev. Talk about a way to make you feel part of the club, literally be part of the club.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would have sold my soul to spend the rest of my life in Altona, at least Hamburg, and the opportunity to be around them. I mean, there's parts of it that I've seen mimicked here in the United States. I've never seen all of it.
Yeah.
But that's funny enough. Danny Cruz and I talked about this a couple of times. I know you've been a part of one of those conversations about some of that culture and kind of that lower division European mentality feel. Stadium-wise, Detroit City gets that.
That's what I was going to say. Of any club in USL, most Bundesliga-like has to be Detroit, right?
I wouldn't necessarily say most Bundesliga-like. I would say lower tiered. There is something to be said. Just hear me out for a second.
Yeah.
There is a sort of snobbery that comes along with being an upper division club in Germany. So I'm not saying that Detroit doesn't have that, but there's a very big difference from the fans, and this is a good example. There's a very good difference from Union Berlin and Bayern Munich. There's a very big difference from Union Berlin and Haasfall, which is Hamburger SV, where I was. Their fans they're different. They change. And so oddly enough, the fans in Altona, so Altona 39, which is Altona 93, is a suburb of Hamburg. Although they're right next to each other, they're vastly different than what you're getting for Haasfall. It's like taking Fulham fans versus Chelsea fans, right? They're London clubs. They're both right there, but it's drastically different. The way that you're upbringing, the core of the club, everything changes. I think the most important thing here is if I said to you, we were allowed, because I'm pretty sure that we're not, Michael. You could have Orange County, you could have Detroit, you could have Oakland. What are you buying the most stock in and why?
Future valuation of the club, just the club, might be Oakland.
I agree.
Talk about major market that got totally usurped on the pro sports landscape, and I love what they're doing. In terms of actually developing players and seeing your money back, it might be Orange County.
So where does Detroit fall into that conversation?
Regrettably for me, not. And yet, that's probably, if I was going to go to a game, like, again, I just said this is the most like German football culture, which
I think you're right. I think you're right. What's funny to me is Detroit's probably most likely to maintain a presence within their division for the longest period of time. But think about how I just worded that. Within their division, like Oakland's the type of community, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but with all the changes around the country, the people that get excited about stuff, the amount of money that's being pumped in to not just MLS, but the USL Championship, USL League One, USL League Two. There's so much money. There's so many more eyeballs. Certainly the Messi factor is going to help. Having this conversation now as opposed to 10 years from now is a very different thing. So you could be talking about a very different tier structure, number one, in the U.S. then. Number two, maybe an Oakland club that is fully invested and they look like Louisville City and they've got their training center and they've got a beautiful stadium and stuff like that, right? 15, 20,000 fans. Maybe they've got MLS aspirations. I don't know. I don't see that happening. I don't need another California club in that division. But anywho, do you want to know where I would invest?
Yeah.
I wouldn't, Mike. I don't gamble with my money, and you shouldn't with yours.
Put the bat down. I mean,
Don't you tell me my business. Summer Showcase 2022. That's not true.
Yeah, all right.
Was this 22? Louisville and Phoenix? Yes.
Yeah, sure.
When's the last time? Oh my God, is this an omen that we have to go back to Louisville to get another bat?
No, it's already got all the right logos on it, my dude. Do all roads in fact lead to a Louisville Phoenix final? Could we possibly see the coup de grace of upsets? That's called a tease, Devon. And this is me ripping off Dan Patrick. Let me finish the tease.
I miss Dan Patrick. I miss Kenny Mayne.
He's still working.
No, I want them on my Sports Center shows. All right? We want corn dogs. Corn dogs, Jackie, for everybody.
All right, this show is in fuego. Sacramento and Phoenix are through. Louisville and Charleston are through. We'll chat about the East first. Tell you how. When Devon finishes this elevator ride on USL All Access. Welcome back to USL All Access on this Tuesday evening. We've got two conference finals coming up on Saturday and the League One final coming up on Sunday. Sunday, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN2 and SiriusXM FC. You can catch the League One final. Who's going to be in it, Dev? It's going to the Carolinas. We got a whole derby going on.
I'm going with Mikey Jeffries, Gabriel Overton, who's still playing, by the way, and I can't get that out of my mind.
I love that. And they're facing, so it's Charlotte, who obviously dropped out of the championship. Christian Fuchs moves on. But no, Overton never left, and North Carolina FC, who are being promoted. I am so happy for North Carolina FC winning promotion.
Not a single shout for my boys that got knocked off their perch by Charlotte, huh?
Not yet.
Union.
I mean, if you want me to,
Union's out. Union Omaha's out. Peter Marlette, you did me wrong, man. You couldn't get us over the line. I'm upset.
Oh my gosh,
I'm upset.
He got you a League One Players Shield.
We got us a title too. I can say us. I'm from there.
I know.
He also got me a jersey. So Peter, I take that back. We're good, buddy. We're good. Some updated gear would never hurt.
You know, the League One table was pretty interesting because the fight for that number one spot went all the way down to the wire because it was Northern Colorado and North Carolina and Union Omaha. And Omaha obviously came out 2 points ahead, 3 points ahead of Northern Colorado. And goal difference wise, Northern Colorado was in position to catch them on the last day if things went the right way, but they didn't. And then you had the playoff race where Charlotte sort of slips in there into the top six. Wow. Really good playoff structure in League One. And that sounded sarcastic, but it was everything that you wanted. So that's in Cary on Sunday. Josh and Ricky will be there to call it. Devon and I will be watching from afar. Meanwhile, Saturday, we've got our two conference finals. Dev, let's chat a little bit about what happened in the East this past week. Let's start with the game that started first. And I think the game that had a little more upset vibe to it. I don't know that anyone really thought Birmingham was going to go to Charleston and win necessarily, but I think we could all see a universe in which it happened. It did not happen. Charleston took the lead in the 17th. Emilio Acasa, Prosper Kasim scored another playoff goal. That was in the 41st minute. And then, look, Derek Dodson gets credit for the goal, right? Right place, right time. Ball ricochets maybe off his knee or whatever that is. This game had 37 shots, 36 shots. It was high energy. I watched some of it live. I know you were keeping an eye on it real time. Look, Charleston's here. This is proof. They are literally now here.
All right, so let's start with this. People that thought that this would have been an upset, I actually think that it was a lot closer than that. Maybe because of the seedings, I get it. That's fine. Birmingham did not look good. Not in any way, shape, or form. I would say that Charleston, once again, 2 weeks running, have looked very good. I thought Emilio Acasa was incredible in the midfield. Man, did he control the tempo. And it's not that we don't know that he can't do that, but just his touches were so clean and everything on the half turn, little move, ball up over to the corner, like just pulling the strings side to side. I thought Acasa was incredible. I don't understand, Mike, why we're still having a conversation about when you know what some of a team's best assets are, and yet you play into them. Historically, this season, the Charleston Battery have been incredible, almost the best in USL Championship from restarts, specifically corners. And yet every single time I saw a Birmingham defender and the ball was coming that way, they were just ushering them to the end line. Two things are going to happen. The ball's going to get whipped in, or they're going to try and push you down there to try and bring something across to get a corner. Now, of course, the idea is to put this thing into the box, but like, you have set yourself up to fail no matter what, because it's coming across. They're incredible in the air and they're going to go win that. Or the ball goes out for a corner. Now you're fighting odds. And certainly they did twice in this game. I get it. One was on a redirect on a second ball back into Derek Dodson, to your point. But both set pieces, goals once again, and that's how you lose. Like, what are we doing here? I'm going to have a similar conversation about the Detroit setup, and I'll get to that in a second. But I just don't understand for the Legion, a team that for so many games, especially early on this season, that looked incredible. And we talked about it, that run was possible again. And yet we got 30% of that output in this game. You know, I say this in the nicest of ways. The Charleston Battery are predictable. And that's not a bad thing. When you have a setup, Mike, and this is the way that we're going to play, and here are our patterns. Now, they vary slightly, but when you say we're going to build out of the back, our 6 is going to drop down in, we can go side to side, we can go up over the top, and you have an idea of the entire blueprint in front of you, is that on the players for not executing, or were they not set up correctly? I'm not in the locker room. I don't know. I am frustrated if I was a Birmingham fan, I would be very, very frustrated for them, because now all of a sudden it's 5 seasons in a row and you feel like you've finally gotten an opportunity to get to the mountaintop, when in fact, I'm not even sure that climb actually started after the Open Cup this year.
You know, what's really interesting for Birmingham is the way the bracket ended up falling for them. This was the first time where you kind of said, man, I kind of see a path here. Maybe not to win the whole thing, but to silverware. They kept getting paired with Pittsburgh, and I it was there.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly was not an easy path, but
no. But it was
look who they had to beat in round 1.
They've had.
Yeah. Fair. But hey, again, credit to the Charleston Battery here as well, because look, I'm not saying that they're so easy to beat, they're predictable. I don't think that whatsoever. I think there are levels to what Lee Cohen and Ben Pierman have brought to this team, and the ideas that started years ago. I mean, Derek Dodson, the goal scorer, right? Derek Dodson is a very good example of a player that only knew one thing in the collegiate ranks, and that was half field and in as an attacker, driving things coming forward, a single or double striker system, playing on that front line. Every now and then getting out onto the wing in wingback style moves, but primarily used as an attacker going forward. My man is an outside marking back now, and he's very good at doing so. Distribution, his service into the box, he's good as an aerial threat. I would have said that without the goal. That didn't start this year, so that falls on Ben Pierman. But the understanding from Lee Cohen, from Ben Pierman, from Ralph Salvatore in the front office, that you could take players like that, and I'm just using one example, sprinkle them with some youth talent. Let's get some loanees. Let's get some of the guys that have seen this under Ben before. Trey Muse, another one. And let's go and chase the vision that he had in Memphis, except now we're going to execute. And guess what? Everything that we talked about throughout the season, now you should start paying attention. We said that coming out of this game, we had a real good feeling that the winner of this game, I certainly said it, not only would go to the Eastern Conference Final, that they would go to the USL Championship Final. And while maybe I've backed up just a tiny bit because of what Louisville did, more respect needs to be given for what's gone on down in Charleston.
Dev, by the way, Derek Dodson named one of the center backs of the year in the Players' Choice Best 11.
Jesus, I can't.
It's hold on. Oh, wait. We'll do this later. We'll do this in the final segment.
We'll get to you, USLPA. I'm coming for you.
Okay. I just wanted to tee this thing off so that he could have his moment.
Some people want to watch the world burn. Absolutely not. I'm knocking the whole house down.
Yeah, and we'll also chat about the conference finals in a little bit as well. But fair to say, Charleston is ahead of schedule. Let's chat about Louisville and Detroit for a moment. 4-0. It was every bit of 4-0. Detroit looked exhausted. I haven't seen Louisville move the ball that cleanly in 3 months.
I think you're being kind there.
Yeah. Ownby, Lancaster, they had a nice run. What was it, July? And then tanked it again in August, September, and the start of October. Ownby and Lancaster combined for 3 goals and multiple assists. Jorge Gonzalez gets a start and scores a filthy little drag back goal. For one, best of luck to Trevor James. I got a chance to speak to him this week, and he's going to try and keep this culture in Detroit going. On the men's side, the women's side, the academy side, he's looking for a new head coach. He's been named the new sporting director there, active at the end of the season. Good friend of ours, good friend of the show. But yeah, Detroit they had 0 chance in this game, essentially from like the second minute.
No, their possession was the most meaningless that I've seen. I mean, credit to Louisville that were willing to sit in certain areas of the field and just take full control. I thought that, they were another team that, again, from set pieces that were really, really good. The week before, you and I talked about the week before. The day after the game, we talked about the lineup itself and what the idea was from moving Wes Sharpie to an outside back position. For Louisville fans that aren't aware of that, that is not something that's out of the norm for him, right?
He did it in Memphis, and ironically, I mean, they brought him to Memphis to do that. And then I asked John Hackworth, "Hey, all right, so he's playing outside back. What are you doing with Oscar?" And he goes, "Oh no, Oscar's still playing outside back.
Yeah,
he's here to be a center back." I'm going, "Oh, okay."
We didn't see it then, did we? But
no, they had
Hack's
it right.
Hack's little black book knew better than us.
Yes, to your point, Danny Cruz made clear to me in the lead up to that game, get more size on the field. Felt that way in the first round of the playoff. Felt that way in the second round of the playoff. Is Amadou Dia effectively available to play a lot of minutes moving forward? Time will tell. But obviously, when you face Charleston, it's very different than when you're facing a Memphis or a Detroit that get a ton of set pieces and can really bash you around, right?
I'm with you. I will say, though, that one of my favorite things about the game, and the size I get, the set pieces I get, one of my favorite things about the game was the front line. It wasn't Cameron Lancaster and his 2 goals. It was actually Brian Ombe and Jorge Gonzalez, and the way that they were driving into the inside. It's something that, look, it's not that we're unaccustomed to it. It's just the level that they were doing at and the way that they were dragging players with them. You can switch on it, getting Brian Ombe into open spaces, one-on-one situations. Jorge Gonzalez down underneath. Like, the ability to create on their own terms in advanced positions is something that was super refreshing to watch in this game.
It was. Playoff Ombe is back. And by the way, with Coutinho now out, they will leave this postseason the highest active leading scorers in the championship playoffs. They each now have 9 career goals in the postseason. Cam right around 100 now for Louisville in all competitions. All right, when we come back, we'll take a look at the Western Conference, where Sacramento is the only team to truly go chalk. The number 1 seed remains. The final is more than likely, question mark, headed west to Sacramento. Phoenix has something to say about that. It's coming up here on All Access. Let's ride. Welcome back to USL All Access on SiriusXM FC with Devon and Emmett. Mike, if you're missing any part of the show, available on the SiriusXM app. It's also now available on YouTube, which is devastating for my, face for radio. This is not for video podcasting. The best part about doing play-by-play is I only want to be on TV for about 37 seconds. And I imagine you with kids understand why. It's just kind of like, hey to your family, and then like
oh, you can't. Can you see my eyes right now? Check this out. Those are circles. Those aren't even circles. I've moved into the ovular region, and certainly I've got an interesting shade of blush underneath my eyes.
Okay.
All of a sudden, someone grabbed the black chalk and just started coloring things in.
Dev.
No shout for the jersey, by the way, huh?
No, well, look, I appreciate the Richmond Kangaroos as much as anybody. Man, the kickers bring it. They always brought it. Anything to add on the jersey, or are you done?
No, I just thought it was a nice jersey that I was going to wear today. It's old school, jumping up and down. Looks good. Looks good, everybody at home. This is my activity for the day.
Take a look at this, the sleeve on that thing. No, not this. Look at the sleeve.
The length.
The old school USL logo, baby.
Oh, that's yeah, baby.
Stuff.
Yeah,
raise your game,
buddy. Still modern day. All right, 2011 and on.
Let's chat about the Western Conference. The first game is actually on Friday night, so we got a feel for the 1-4 game very early in this. Look, going into the year, we all thought this had conference final written all over it, in part because we could not fathom a way in which either team finished 4th place or lower, where they get stuck on the same bracket as the other. Sacramento 3, San Antonio 1. The only goal for San Antonio in that game was Tani Oluwaseyi in second half stoppage. It was scoreless at halftime. Cicerone scores. Nick Ross, Damia Viader comes off the bench. He scores. Again, pretty active game, especially in the second half. Sacramento had this written in the stars for a long, long time. And if there's one thing that hits me, it's that there's a constant feeling in San Antonio that they were a really good team. They didn't quite have what they had last year. And that's a really weird ghost to try and go chase. And now they're out. And we've got a new champ coming.
So let's start with San Antonio. I'm going to make it quick out of respect for Sacramento Republic, and that's not a knock on San Antonio FC. I agree with everything that you said. Good season, another very good season. We're now talking about a team that, in case people don't remember, 3 years running making the Western Conference Final. Okay? So 21, 22, 23. They've gotten their star. They have put themselves into what is a very good conversation of a team that is elite, right? Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're looking at me all funny over there.
It's sustainable. Well, I mean, they made the conference semifinal this year.
Oh, that's right. It was the semifinal.
Yeah.
Well, you said coming in, we thought it was going to be a conference final. It should have been. Yeah. It might as well have been.
I gave you.
That's what the look was for. Well, again, everybody, I'm on 13 games. 11 games in 13 days.
Games sleep?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember. I've got 7 hours in the past 2 nights. So, sorry. Back-to-back conference finalists, a conference semifinal this year. Same conversation in 2020. So you're progressing out of the first round. You've gotten yourself right there as one of the best in Western Conference. Last year they won it, broke almost every record possible, certainly on the defensive front and how balanced they were, what they did. That's it. Happy trails, done. I got to talk about Sac and how good they were, man. I thought this was one of the most balanced performances we've seen from Sacramento Republic in quite some time. They did everything, including, which I was very surprised at, including saying to San Antonio for large portions of the game, oh, you want to play that way? You want to play physical and direct and up over the top? Guess what? It's not going to work. Here's the ball. We're going to drop back. Why don't you try and figure out how to break us down? That's not how it works. You guys can't get everything you want. Have your cake and eat it too. Mark Briggs, the tactician that was, made them challenge themselves, San Antonio FC that is, on the ball more than any team that I've seen this year, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't play in the tight spaces. They could not figure out a way, even when the space was open, to regularly get in behind the wingbacks. Damia Viader changed the game coming off the bench. He was incredible. Jack Kerr, how that guy is still in this league, all due respect, I have no idea. His level of consistency and what he brings to the table is insane.
Okay. For a second there, I was worried you were saying send him to League One. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Are you kidding me? No, he's in my best 11 and then some. That's how good Jack Kerr has been. But I would say this. Keep an eye. Friendly reminder. Herrera, unavailable. Arnold Lopez, out with injury. Arnold Lopez out with injury, to me, is a bigger concern than Herrera not being available. Because you're getting Roro back, Cicerone seems to have turned a corner, and attacking-wise is feeling a lot more comfortable. Nick Ross, by the way. Nick Ross was a man on fire, did really well for himself, started up high, played in that hybrid 10 position. They used him a little bit on the outside, getting down in underneath with the absence of Arnold Lopez when he went off, playing as a 6'8". They were great, man. You could tell by my voice how good I thought this performance was from Sacramento Republic. Thought they were incredible.
Lopez, if that were to persist, how big of a concern is that against whether it be Phoenix or Louisville or Charleston?
It concerns me more if it's Louisville. Well, I should say it concerns me most if it's Louisville. Let's start there. And we're assuming that they get by Phoenix in that situation. Probably more able to be handled if it's the Charleston Battery, just the way that they play and the willingness to play a little bit more on the outside than Louisville does. Louisville wants the ball. They want to unbalance you and kind of spread you all over. Charleston, they want to push the tempo on the outside. So although a lot of the movement starts from the midfield down underneath, that's not exactly where Arnold Lopez is going to be. He's going to be the deeper one. He's not chasing the 6s and 8s, right? He's trying to worry about the attackers in front of him, the 9s dropping into the pockets, eliminating those central balls. Nick Ross could do the job against everybody else, although Arnold Lopez he's a big loss, man. He's a big loss. And that's assuming you want Nick Ross to play in there. I'm just going off what they did within this game. There are multiple options there.
Yeah, may I just quickly make mention that your back three, right? Jared Timmer was the intern, hand to God, the intern for Indy 11 while he was still at Butler. Goes to Reno, plays a little bit, plays in Indy for 2 years. Big shoes to fill back there. So you've got him. You've got Shane Wheat, who you're pulling out of what? Loudon, where they hemorrhage goals every single year. And Connor Donovan is just sort of, and obviously he's been there, just sort of bounced around. That's the back three that looks like the completely impenetrable defense. I just want people to understand this.
Yeah, now it does. I mean, but also remember they brought Lee Desmond off the bench.
Open cup there.
Right?
Correct.
Like Lee Desmond came off the bench. And Shane Wheat's pedigree isn't just Loudon, and you know how my tremendous respect that I have for Ryan Martin.
It's Shane no Wheat's knock on any of the three.
No, but Shane Wheat's also a Jay Vidovich guy coming out of Pitt. Yeah. That team plays in college. He's also a Jared Embick guy, head coach at Akron. Those two teams, you played at Akron and Pitt, they know how to play. He played for Bob Lilly in Pittsburgh the last 2 seasons. Like, Shane Wheat knows how to get it done. Lost pieces, Dan Casey, absolutely, right? Lee Desmond and getting him healthy. But, yeah, it's a very different look than what you thought it would have been for as good as they've been on the back line.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying if you sit there and really contemplate it, not the same group that went to the Open Cup final, right? And yet here they are being equally successful. Again, Taylor Twellman tweeting yesterday, it's pretty rare that he strays from sort of the 30 club behemoth that he works with. But for him to go out and say that a lot of people are looking at Mark Briggs for vacant MLS jobs says everything you need to know. Phoenix and Orange County. Again, this always delivers. Danny Trejo in the 7th, Thomas Among in the 24th. Then Emil Cuejo scores the winner at 116. Was Orange County great? No. Did on a different day, do they win this knockdown dragout? Maybe. Probably on home ground. Ran out of fairy dust, didn't they?
Yeah. Would say one of the
is Phoenix back, by the way?
They're not back.
Okay.
Back is in what we saw in previous years, or back is in what we saw previously this year?
Back is in a genuine front runner to win a championship based off how they actually look.
No, there's
like obviously they're in a conference final, right?
They
can now win.
They're too inconsistent to be in that conversation right now.
Okay.
I'm glad that we're seeing success for Phoenix Rising and Juan Guerra. But friendly reminder, this is a team that won what, once in the final 6 games of the year? 7? Something like that?
It wasn't trending so hot, no.
No, there was no attack. They were morbid. I mean, they are more well-rounded now, but in order for them to be quote-unquote back, consistency's got to get better. Phoenix did everything that they wanted to. I was shocked how much Orange County was willing to open themselves up. I still can't believe how much time and space Cuejo had on that goal. I mean, I don't know. I get it. It's the end of the game. People are tired, but like, what are you doing? What?
And that's not the guy. Go ahead and leave Klay Thompson open. Doesn't matter if you're playing the 9th overtime. You don't do it. You don't do it.
Yeah, there are certain people on the field that just walk on the field and have a target, and you go, all right, well, I can't mess that up. We can't let him get the ball. This guy can't get it at the top of the 18 because he's got a really good right foot. Like, again, the scout is not difficult to figure out, and yet the ball was literally dropped into the top corner.
Yeah.
Who knew?
You know, this is so different than the last time Phoenix got to this point. I know they played 120 minutes, but they had 800 passes in that game. Like the whole, and I've heard people bemoan that it's not the old Phoenix.
No, it's different. You have a different coach. What are we talking about?
I know that. I'm just saying, you know,
so
here they are at the same. Yeah. Just saying, here they are at that point.
Just that some of that fan
way,
base is spoiled, dude, and you know it.
Yeah.
Not the whole fan. I said some of the fan base.
I know. Yeah. No, I catch what you're laying down. By the way, last game for Milan Olaski at Orange County. What's his final impact there in your mind? Other than a big cha-ching.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely getting paid. The guy did. Outside of
if he had left after last year,
title,
right?
I don't know what else you could have asked for from him.
Yeah. The man gave you like 50 goals in 2 years, and he paid. Yeah, I mean, genuinely, I don't know what more you're looking for. All right, we're gonna quickly hit the upcoming matchups, and Dev gives 1 minute on why the player's best 11 is not his best 11. Next on USL All Access. Welcome back to USL All Access. Final couple minutes here, and Dev's been waiting to get something off his chest, but I'm going to make him wait just a little bit longer. Sorry, Dev. Been there, done that. Eastern Conference Finals, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. It is in Charleston on Saturday, ESPN Plus. The Battery host Louisville City. Louisville 9th straight conference final. Charleston is finally back at this level. Obviously, the legacy that they have. Dev, the X factor in that game is what?
Oh. Well, the fact that what did I say to you, that Louisville have been basically 500 at Charleston the entirety of their existence?
Correct. Even in their best years, and
Even in their best
worst.
years. Yeah, and Charleston's worst, which apparently it was a thing, at least for a brief blip in time. I would say
About
that the X factors for me is probably going to be the central midfield, because there's a star above the crest when you walk on the field. 2 stars, excuse me, that people are going to look at. It's imposing. That carries weight, and I feel like the emotional side is certainly going to benefit Louisville City early on. The width of the field is where Charleston want to chase. They want to open you up. If, and this is a big if, the center backs from Louisville City can help control the tempo and maintain the vision of this structure in front of them. If one back goes, can the other one sit? If they're both going to go, what are the 2 center backs like? Do they have coverage within the midfield? If they can maintain that, they will win the midfield battle and they will win this game. I don't know if they can. That's going to be the X factor.
Yeah, by the way, Fidel Barajas, is he going to the U17 World Cup? Time will tell, not official, but how quick is he going to be gone? That's major as well. Obviously named the Guardians' best young players. Western Conference, Phoenix and Sacramento will follow that game. X factor is?
The X factor is going to be who's going to be willing to take full control within their possession, because both teams are willing to give that and push it aside. We just saw Sacramento Republic do it. I talked to you about how much they were willing to give to San Antonio. San Antonio didn't know what to do. Phoenix is a better team on the ball and more compact spaces, though their success is much better in the open field of play. Does Phoenix have the resolve to just sit there and hold and then try and counter? There's a lot of egos on that team that I don't know if they can do it for 90 minutes.
Oh, that's interesting. So games are 7:30 rather, and 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Charleston hosting Louisville, Sacramento hosting Phoenix, and we'll have a full wrap up next Tuesday right here on the show. Dev, I hope that the Players Association is better at collectively bargaining than they are at choosing a best 11. Here we go. It's Vidiello, backline in a 3, Dodson, Ordonez, and Kerr. Midfield in a 4, Dennis, Malloy, Hernandez, and Forbes. Forbes is playing wide. Dequa, Trejo, and Jennings are your front 3. And they're not all stacked on top of each other. Dev, your problem with this is?
How much time do I have, by the way, here? 30 seconds?
30 seconds.
Great.
Yeah.
We always joke about how we never get a vote in USL. Well, I just got a vote in MLS about what this is supposed to look like. A, it's very difficult to get every player you want on the field because you have to choose a formation. But if you're going to choose a formation, you have to put the players in the right spot. Jack Kerr hasn't spent a single freaking second at center back in his entire life. So we can't make him one of the best of the back 3. That's just the way that it works, guys. I get it. They're very good players. They all deserve to be in the best 11, but put them in their right positions and let's pay the credit where it's due. Jack Kerr as a center back, as I like to say, that ain't it, boys. That ain't it. Derek Dodson as a center back. That ain't it. Kenardo Forbes has beat Father Time. He owns him. The USL Championship all-time leader in assists in his entire life, or certainly in the last 24 months, cannot play wingback. Let's be better, boys. Let's work together. Let's get a formation. Let's pick the positions, and let's fly. Or as my boy Mike Watt says coming in, let's ride.
No mailbag this week. What? What?
Just so amazing that this is what we're talking about. Guys, come on.
I
Man.
know.
Let's give a best
I
11
know.
and let's really talk about the guys that have had incredible seasons and pay them off. In that entire 11 right there are really three things that matter most to me. Danny Vitiello belongs. I don't know if Arturo Ordonez does. And certainly Albert Diqua does. Let's go.
Dev, we're talking about practice. You learn anything in this show?
I learned that it is possible to stretch my voice past the boundaries that were previously unexperienced. Now I got to reel it back in. I got a game in 24 hours.
And I learned that doing this with a view of the beach in Pensacola, not the worst thing in the world. For Dev, Emmett, Mike, talk to you next Tuesday, everybody. We've got a final coming up next Saturday. Catch both conference finals, ESPN Plus, Saturday, 7:30 and 10. Catch the League One final on Sunday evening on ESPN2. Enjoy.